For nearly 80 years, the nuclear world has followed an unspoken rule. Not everyone gets the bomb. A handful of countries hold it. Everyone else lives under that reality. It's not fair, it's not stable, but it has held. Now in Asia, that balance is starting to shift. Not because one country broke the rules, but because several are beginning to question them at the same time. And when enough countries start asking, can we really rely on others for our survival? Nuclear weapons stop feeling unthinkable, they start to feel necessary. And once that shift happens, it doesn't stay contained. To understand what's changing, you have to understand what worked. The nuclear age wasn't built on trust, it was built on fear. The idea was simple. If war means catastrophic destruction, no one starts it. That's deterrence. But in Asia, deterrence wasn't evenly distributed, it was centralized. The United States extended its nuclear protection across the region, a system known as the nuclear umbrella. Countries like Japan and South Korea didn't need their own weapons, because the deal was clear. If they were attacked, the United States would respond, even if it meant nuclear war. That promise didn't eliminate risk, but it made proliferation unnecessary because deterrence doesn't require certainty, just enough belief to avoid testing it. That belief is no longer as solid as it once was, not gone, but under strain. Start with China. Its military expansion isn't just rapid, it's strategic. Satellite imagery over the past few years has revealed the construction of large new missile silo fields, something that was extremely limited in the past. Its naval power is expanding, and its posture toward the Taiwan Strait is becoming more assertive. This isn't theoretical. It's a live geopolitical fault line. Then there's North Korea, already nuclear armed, increasingly sophisticated. Missile launches that once triggered global alarm are now frequent enough that some barely dominate the news cycle. Some tests have even flown over nearby regions before landing in open water, a reminder of how close these tensions are to becoming real. For countries in the region, this creates a new reality. Two nuclear pressures, one rising, one unpredictable. But the most important shift isn't military, it's psychological, because the real question is no longer, is there a threat? That's obvious. The question is, will the system actually protect us when it matters? And no alliance, no matter how strong, can answer that with complete certainty. Here's what makes this moment different. Several countries in Asia already have everything they need to build nuclear weapons: the technology, the expertise, the industrial base. In some cases, they are described by analysts as threshold states, countries that don't have nuclear weapons but could develop them if the decision changed. What's stopping them isn't capability, it's restraint, and restraint depends on confidence. This is where things begin to move, quietly, incrementally, but decisively. In South Korea, the idea of nuclear weapons is no longer fringe. In recent years, multiple public surveys have shown majority support for developing an independent nuclear deterrent, not because the country wants escalation, but because relying entirely on external protection now feels less certain. Japan is more complicated. Its anti-nuclear stance is deeply rooted, historical, political, cultural. But it also operates one of the most advanced civilian nuclear programs in the world, giving it access to materials and technical expertise that could, if ever redirected, support a weapons program. The capability exists. The question is whether the environment eventually overrides the identity. Because nuclear decisions aren't made in isolation. They're reactions to threats, to uncertainty, and most of all to each other. If one country crosses the line, it doesn't normalize nuclear weapons globally. It normalizes them regionally, and that's where the domino effect begins. One country develops nuclear weapons, its neighbor reassesses. That reassessment becomes a policy shift. That policy shift becomes a program, and suddenly, what started as a single decision becomes a chain reaction no single country controls, no coordination, no agreement, just a series of rational choices that collectively reshape the region. There's a tipping point in systems like this, not a dramatic moment, not a headline, but a threshold, where countries stop planning for stability and start planning for failure, where the question changes from, are we safe to, what if we're not? And once that shift happens, restraint starts to look like a risk. Preparation starts to feel necessary. Nuclear weapons stop being about dominance, they become insurance. But more insurance policies mean more risk, more actors, more miscalculations, more moments where decisions have to be made fast. Deterrence doesn't disappear, but it becomes harder to manage. We often think of the nuclear world as fixed, locked in place since the Cold War, but it was never truly stable. It was held together by belief. Belief in alliances, belief in response, belief that no one would push too far. Now that belief is being tested, and systems like this don't collapse overnight. They shift, gradually, quietly, then suddenly. The biggest risk is not that nuclear weapons will be used, it's that more countries begin to believe they might need them. Because once one country prepares for the worst, others have to assume the worst is coming. And when that happens, the consequences don't stay theoretical, they reshape the future.